Welcome to the Murphy, Sam, and Jodi After the Show podcast.
One of the most interesting stories that we only touched on in 3 Things to Know today is these arrests that came. The feds busted this group of Chilean nationals. I wanted to say the word gang, but they're not a gang. The word is ring, crime ring. And so there are 7 people who have been arrested and taken into custody for these high-profile burglaries. Patrick Mahomes' home, Travis Kelce's home, and Joe Burrow's home. And there were some also...
So they're only focusing on high-end celebrities, athletes, and that sort of thing.
Right. Part of the evidence that was gathered to make these arrests, they have some of the stuff. They have watches and safes that they took. They also have... Some of these guys took pictures of themselves in a hotel room.
Yes.
It's a selfie of them with the watches and the safe. And they're like, look, we got it.
You can't prove we did it? Well, I can, actually.
There's a selfie, yeah. And then the FBI also blanked out one of the men's faces. I don't know why exactly. Maybe that one's lawyered up or something. I have no idea
Or is
yet.
it a minor?
He doesn't look, the rest of his body doesn't look minor. I don't know. He looks major, actually. He looks like the oldest one of the group. Anyway, it's crazy because it's not just the most recent burglaries and the most high-profile burglaries that we'd heard about. Remember, I was so upset when Joe Burrow's home was hit. Were in the NFL.
Mm-hmm. Didn't they have some NBA ones too?
Also some NBA ones. So these are sophisticated burglaries. It's a organized crime is what it is. And I thought you would find this so interesting. The FBI bulletin said that they're criminal gangs and they do a lot of surveillance ahead of time. They didn't hit Joe Burrow's house without being really prepared. Like they're in the neighborhood, attempting to do deliveries, trying to get jobs in the neighborhood.
They were in a fake utility work vehicle.
Things like
Just
that.
like in the movies.
With a magnetic sign.
They pose as,
You reported your cable is out?
they pose as ground maintenance or joggers in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
They're really scoping it out for months in advance. And there's at least 7 that have been arrested. There could be more, probably more. It's probably a full network. And they may have had other targets that were never hit yet. We just don't know yet.
And the key to what they do is they do it when that person is out of town at a game.
Yes, and the world knows that, but they're more ready. You know what I mean? They paid attention to patterns.
I mean, I would say that any criminal, ring like that does the same thing, whether it's a high-end, high-profile celebrity or not.
Extensive surveillance.
Yeah, when there was an apartment complex that I lived in, and
this is the same.
yeah, but you'll see that it was. So 42 cars were hit in one night.
Right.
That's not random break-in. That's not somebody, seeing something they want to take and breaking glass to get into it. It was, and it was. They wound up arresting the ring later. They were hitting apartment complexes. That was their thing. They would surveil. They would look. They would see, access in, access out. They
have a
would
plan.
do their job and they'd get out.
They do it quickly, too.
Yeah.
They get out quickly.
And it was crazy because it was like 15 people at one time all hitting all cars simultaneously. So, yeah. So it doesn't have to be, high end. Unfortunately, it happens everywhere.
You're right.
Yeah.
It's so sad to me, but I feel like there's a lot to be learned. This is one that I'm going to want to follow, and I'm going to want the documentary.
Here we go.
Organized theft groups apparently bypass alarm systems. They use Wi-Fi jammers to block Wi-Fi connections, and they disable devices. It was very, as soon as the kickoff happens, they go to work with the NFL robberies. They cover security cameras, so that they're, this is why it's like, don't go back to the hotel and shoot a selfie because you've already done all this work to obscure your face, make sure that nobody knows. But anyway, they would always target athletes on, game days. And so at least 7 of them have been arrested. And that's all we know so far.
Do we know if they got any Taylor Swift stuff from Travis's house?
I don't know that. I hope not. But they hit safes for sure too.
I think that the takeaway from this for just all of us in the everyday world is whether it's funerals, for example, and weddings.
Yeah,
there are thieves that will target and they'll scour media and social posts and those kind of things to see when people are not going to be at home. Funerals especially, and that's a shame because you're hitting somebody at their absolute lowest moment. And
they're not even thinking about that.
No.
Like, hopefully, you hearing this. The next time it's like public knowledge that you and your family will be at so-and-so memorial service.
Yeah.
Well,
be aware.
That's why we hired an off-duty officer for a couple hours at my dad's house, during his funeral for that reason. In my grandmother's house too, years ago. It's a shame that you have to do those kinds of things, but you never know.
You don't. I have another story that we did not touch on in 3 Things Today that I really wanted to touch on, and it's the Starbucks switching up the cold brew cups that a lot of people are upset about. Did you hear about this?
I didn't hear this one.
Okay, so some of the iced coffee, if you roll into a Starbucks at some locations, most locations, it's one of these things they're trying to change slowly but surely. When you get iced coffee, it normally, all these years, has come in a clear cup.
Plastic cup.
Clear cup. I enjoy that, too, because I love to see. I always talk about how sexy my coffee is because I'm excited about iced coffee. And it's like, look at it. It's so pretty. And you put a little cream in the top and it's pretty. They've changed it. It's the big cup change, and a lot of people are not thrilled. They're replacing only in 14 states now, but the plan is to do everywhere. They've replaced it with fiber-based compostable ones that it's just it's not clear anymore. It's not clear anymore.
Trying to eliminate plastic waste. I understand that.
And they're like, hey, this is tough for me to see it. And it loses its social media postability because a lot of people like to order the TikTok drinks that are so stacked up. And it's tough for baristas.
Even not the cold coffee, but the refreshers and all that.
It's beautiful.
It's visual as well.
Agreed. So it's one of those things that I'm mentioning it here because even companies like that, they'll make a decision, they'll make a change, and the public will speak out. And it's kind of like, okay, let me walk that back. I wonder what they'll do because they're making a lot of changes.
I doubt that's going to get walked back. That would be like walking back styrofoam containers at McDonald's. The reason they did that was the same, for the same reason. So I seriously, I understand, and I would miss the look of it too. But I can't imagine them because they're going to get flack the other direction if they,
it's true.
reverse that.
Can't please everybody.
Yeah.
That's the problem in business, isn't it?
Yeah.
And how about one more that we didn't get to that you need to know today? Southwest Airlines has a Bring a Friend free promotion going on. For a limited time, it's going to let a passenger bring a friend for free. It's a companion pass. You have to register and book a round trip for two. You have to book it today or 2 one-way flights by today. And then you have to complete your travel by March 31st. So it's something quick.
Our coworker Jeremy has done that before. He's told me before. He's got a Southwest, mileage built up, and he does the companion. He gets the free fare for his girlfriend. Yeah.
And uses the miles.
I don't know how he does it. It's just like, oh wow, that's cool.
Right. Well, it's very specific for you to get the deal, and today's the day for it. So if you have something coming up, it's worth looking into.
You just need to find a friend who can be that spontaneous with you.
Which is fun, right?
Yeah.
Missed any part of the show? Get it all on the Murphy, Sam, and Jodi podcast.